What kind of ribs are the best? Today I have country style ribs, baby back ribs, rib tips, St. Louis cut ribs, and full spares. We cooked them all up. We're about to taste them. Let's find out. Guys, I have a big announcement. If you are in or near Lincoln, Nebraska, and you're going to be around on Friday the 19th, and you want to try some of the food that I cook, I'm taking over the Canyon Joe's barbecue restaurant, and it's going to be me and my crew. We're cooking all the meats. We're going to include stuff that I learned how to cook in the Middle East, Qatar, Dubai, Oman, and stuff I learned to cook in Argentina, along with all the Texas classics that you would expect. We're going to do beef ribs, we're going to do brisket, a whole bunch of stuff. If that sounds good to you, come by, say hi. Happy to chat with you and meet some people who love barbecue, because those are my people. If you're my people, I ask you to show up and check it out. We're going to have amazing food and a lot of great times. Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today we're going to be doing the ultimate rib test. Now, these are all pork ribs. I didn't include every variety of ribs because that would be kind of too many. But what we have here are rib tips. We have St. Louis cut, we have full spares, we have baby backs, we have country style, we have every kind of rib that are commonly cooked in barbecue, and we want to compare them because I think you guys are probably similar to me insofar as you get caught in ruts where you cook the same thing over and over again. Well, there are some go-tos that I just cook frequently because I've cooked them so many times. I'm comfortable with them. I know what kind of product I'm going to get. And so for me, the ribs I cook far and away the most frequently are St. Louis spares because I don't really have to worry about trimming. I can season them up, I can put them on. It's very easy, and I really love the results. Whereas in Texas, they're almost always using the full spare where the sternum is still attached and you have to do a significant amount of trimming. Other places, like near Detroit where my brother lives, rib tips are the creme de la creme of barbecue. Everybody wants to do rib tips. He's smoking brisket and beef ribs, and people are like, you got rib tips? And so maybe there's something to it. Or it could just be that full spares are the king because you can trim them down as much as you want and you have the rib tips included. It could be country style ribs are really the king. We're not going to know until we try them. And as much as I appreciate the Chili's commercial about the baby back ribs, they have not typically been my favorite. I just like the juicier, more robust flavor that I get from spares, but no way to know until we test it. So I'm going to season these all the same way with salt and pepper. I'm going to season them with a little bit of seasoned salt on top, and I got these all from the same source. These are all from Porter Road. Porter Road uses a hybrid of two heritage breeds that really gives them the kind of flavor profile that they're after. You can also just look at the color of the meat and see that it's darker, there's more myoglobin, and this isn't regular commodity pork. So I wanted to start with high quality ingredients so that we get a high quality result. So enough yapping, I'm gonna get to opening these and seasoning them up, and then we're gonna put them on the smoker. So far I've done very little trimming on all of these. I've scored the membranes on the back of the ribs. But these full spares, I, like an idiot, trimmed to be like St. Louis because that's what I'm used to when I trim ribs. I trim them to St. Louis style. Downside is it's functionally the same thing as the St. Louis ribs. But we have this chunk that we can cook separately, like make your own rib tips. So we have that. These I will trim a little bit less, and we'll have both versions of spares. So kind of a mistake, but Bob Ross, it's a happy accident. So I'll take some happy accidents. Okay, we got these all seasoned up now, and let's talk a little bit about where these different cuts come from, and then we'll put them on the smoker. First of all, let's talk about the spare rib. Typically they include part of the sternum, and so there's some extra stuff on there that you want to trim off, but it comes from the lower part of the rib cage. So think meaty, think about fat being present, so it's a rich, delicious bite of food. Next up, we have rib tips, which are kind of like the trim of making these other kinds of ribs. So they're kind of a byproduct, which is really what barbecue is all about. Undesirable cuts made desirable. So these typically cheaper cuts can be really delicious, especially with all that connective tissue that breaks down, just makes them really succulent and good. Then we have the St. Louis spare ribs. So these kind of look rectangular. So if you look at these, it's a nice rectangle. And if you want to trim your spare ribs up that much, you totally can. I would just suggest using your trim in some other way. Otherwise, it kind of gets wasted. Then we have country style ribs. These come from the shoulder or the Boston butt. So on here on a pig, because it's going to be meaty, it's going to have a lot of fat, it's going to be really, really tasty, and I would be tempted to cook these direct heat. The only reason I'm not cooking them direct heat is because I'm cooking all the others in an offset smoker. So if you ever have a chance to go to Snow's and try their pork steaks that are cooked direct heat, think this, but bigger. It's absolutely unbelievable. They use an incredible mop sauce. I'm transported back now just thinking about it. I can smell the livestock auction. Man, that is some good stuff. Then lastly, we have the baby back ribs. A lot of people who are new into barbecue love the baby back ribs because there's essentially no trimming. You can remove the membrane, you can score it, as I've done with all the membranes here, or you can just leave them and then cook them to tenderness. Generally speaking, baby backs are most popular with beginners, and typically once you've been indoctrinated into the barbecue world, you move on to spare ribs. Some people just prefer them. Like I think my wife probably prefers the baby back ribs or loin back ribs to the spares. I prefer the spares, but whatever you like is the right answer. Now, where these come from are typically closer to the spine. So rather than being low in the rib cage, comes from much higher. And a lot of times they're trimmed to within an inch of their life because other valuable cuts of pork meet up to these bones here. And so to try to maximize those cuts, a lot of places will give you, very thin loin back ribs or baby back ribs. These are nice and meaty. I'm really looking forward to these. This is a lot of ribs. Let's get them on. Today I'm cooking with pecan wood and mixing in just a little bit of oak to make the pecan go a little bit further. Also, these are all going on the Superior Smokers Evolution behind me because we have lots and lots of space. And today, with as many cuts as we're doing, we might need it. So lots of space. We have a lot of things that we can do in terms of adjusting the temperature, cold smoking, stuff like that. But we're going to do a standard cook with these. We're going to start at 200 and smoky for about an hour. Then we're going to go to 225 and smoky for about an hour. And then 250. No, I changed my mind on the fly. So the way we're going to do this cook is completely normal. We're going to go 200 and smoky for an hour, hour and a half. Then we're going to bump it up to 250, maybe even to 275 until the point of wrapping. Then we're going to wrap these all in foil. We're going to cook them to tenderness. And then, even though I would like to sauce some of them and probably wouldn't want to sauce others, we're going to leave them all unsauced so we can compare the meat and seasoning plus the smoke to each other. So we kind of have a fair playing field. Like the country style ribs, probably wouldn't want to glaze them, whereas the rib tips, I would want to glaze them. But in order to keep things apples to apples as much as possible, we're going to try to do the same thing. Even though, as I've already said, certain cuts I'd probably want to cook a little bit differently. But to be fair, this is the way we're going to have to do it. All right, let's get them on. We'll start with the baby backs. Yeah, we'll put them. Country style ribs. Now we got the St. Louis. See how rectangular? St. Louis ribs. Tips. We'll put some there. Here we have the full spare that I, like a moron, trimmed to be St. Louis. Notice it looks rectangular. I'm going to put the off cut alongside it, and we're going to cook those as rib tips and compare the rib tips you cut from full spares to these that we just ordered as rib tips. So I'm going to put that right here. Rib tips just behind. And lastly, we got the full spare. So we have 2 racks of baby backs, 2 racks of full spares, 2 racks of St. Louis, 2 packages of rib tips, and 2 packages of country style ribs. We got a full smoker, even though we're just cooking ribs. Let's get this going. I want to update you guys. We've been cruising along here, slow and steady, for about the first 90 minutes, and let's take a look at what kind of color we have. Looking good. All right, I like the deep red color that we're getting on all this. That's looking really nice. Now I'm going to bump the temp up to about 250, and we're going to rock there for a while, maybe bump up to 275 if we need more pullback on the bones, but we have a good base layer of smoke and color here, and we're just going to keep going. And if you're wondering, this is on the Mad Scientist Barbecue website. So I like where we are right now. We'll check back in with you when it's time to wrap, probably around the 3-hour mark. At this point, we're about 3.5 hours into the cook, and it's going to be time to wrap. So we'll look for great color, and that's going to be our proxy for smoke flavor, because the smoke is going to adhere and it's going to lay down some of that color. So we don't know for certain by the color how much smoke flavor is there, but we get an approximation. So at this point, we're going to wrap for tenderness, and most everybody wraps their ribs in foil, so I'm going to use foil. Whereas if I'm cooking for me, I'm going to wrap in butcher paper and lard, or butcher paper and tallow, or even butcher paper and clarified butter. But this isn't about me cooking to suit my own flavor profile, but it's about cooking to get an answer to the test. So I want to cook them all as consistently as possible. They're going to go in foil. They're going to get cooked to tenderness, usually with ribs something about 205 to 210. But when the probe goes in softly, it's enough yapping. Let's take a look. There we go. Starting to look good. I'm curious, by the way, using the good old Thermopen 1. Yeah, this would be basically the stall. So here we got some of these spares. 169 over here. 156. 161. Check this guy. 175 rib tip. Other rib tip. 178. So we've discovered something absolutely shocking. The bigger the cut of meat, the lower the temperature. Who would have ever guessed? But it also has to do with surface area, meat thickness, all kinds of things like that. But these guys are ready to wrap. They have great color. Nothing's burning. These baby backs look really nice. The rib tips look great. And so I'm going to wrap them in foil. I don't think you need to see all that. We're going to put them back on, cook them to tenderness, and then the taste test. St. Louis. Meat side down. By the way, if anybody's worried that you're not getting color on the underside with the Evolution scoop, you are. Gonna repeat this 20 more times, and that's about it. Okay guys, it's the next day. We've let these rest. Now it's time to unwrap them and give them a taste test. But first, we're gonna take a look at it. As I told you before, all of this meat comes from Porter Road, and there are two reasons why I did that. Number one is I want consistency. I want the same source for all of these different cuts so that I can give a fair comparison. And number two is because I want high quality product to begin with, because I don't want to get a low quality product that might make me think less of a certain one of these cuts than another one. And I want to thank Porter Road for sponsoring today's video. I've been using their stuff for years. When it comes to their pork, it's a cross between two heritage breeds. When it comes to their beef, they're raising Angus cattle, and they're raising them to the highest of high standards. Basically, if you don't have an account with a meat supplier, you're going to have a real struggle getting this quality of meat from any local store or local butcher shop. Essentially, what Porter Road is to you is the local butcher that you would have had, a couple generations ago, but they send it to you online. So adapting modern technology to that same craft of butchery. And what they can offer you is all kinds of different cuts that you can't commonly find from the highest quality animals that are raised to the highest standards. Basically, it's the Rolls Royce of meat products, and they sell directly to the consumer. And if you want to save money, if you use my code, MadScientistRibs15, you get 15% off of any order. Doesn't matter if it's your first order or your 10th order or your 100th order, you get 15% off of all orders. So use that code and save money, because they have high quality stuff, from how they raise the animals to how they process the meat to how they interact with the consumer. Porter Road has been absolutely fantastic to work with. I've just really been a huge fan of their stuff. So check out the link in the description and use that code MadScientistRibs15 to get 15% off of your order. That's all orders that use that code. So save yourself some money, get some high quality meat, and enjoy with your friends and family the people that matter to you. First up, country style ribs. Looks pretty good. I probably shouldn't do this yet, but I'm just gonna, yeah. That looks really tasty. Man, this smells incredible. All right, we're not even to the tasting portion. I gotta just get these out of here. Gosh, they smell so good. Next, we're unwrapping the full spares. These look pretty good to me. Handsome. Love that color. Right there. Here we have the trim from the one rack of full spares that I wasn't thinking just trim to be St. Louis. We'll just set that there for now. They're St. Louis ribs. They look pretty. I added nothing to this wrap, by the way. It's just wrap them in foil and finish cooking them. Man, these look good. Oh, they smell so good too. Oh. Rib tips. Baby backs. It has seriously been years since I cooked baby back ribs. But seeing these makes me want to say, I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. Chili's baby back ribs. Don't need barbecue sauce. You know, Brad, Chud's Barbecue, Joe Yim, and I went to Chili's. Geez, it's been a couple years now. And we went in and we ordered ribs because we were like, haha, it's going to be so funny. We go to Chili's and order ribs. And actually, they were enjoyable in part because they didn't taste like smoke at all. It was a complete change of pace. They were like sweet and tangy. And yeah, so they're not bad. They were tender, but it's not really about the meat then. It's about, oh, we have tender meat plus some sauce and some salt and it's going to be tasty, but not quite the same thing. Oh yeah. Look at that guy. Oh, and you can tell that this is rendered fat in there. We'll just, oh. So, first things first, let's start with some of these country style ribs. You can see that there's some fat on them and it's rendered really well, so that's really a good sign. And I don't have to convince you guys that groceries are expensive. Meat especially is expensive. So doing something like this where you have country style ribs where you kind of repurpose a very cheap cut like a pork butt or Boston butt into something that kind of resembles ribs, if it tastes good, it could be a winner and a way to save money. All right, let me cut a chunk here. Oh man. All right, you guys got to see this. This looks so good. We've rendered the fat well. It just gives. You see how the fat's like jello? And we've maintained moisture inside. We have a beautiful smoke ring. Look at, I mean, oh. That is really good. Oh. Eric, you want to try? So my thoughts on these are, they look kind of ugly, but they taste absolutely incredible. It's like you take the most flavorful portion of a pork butt and you just turn them into kind of rib-sized bites, and really, really impressed with these. I'm gonna bring in my wife, who's my go-to taste tester. Erica, can you come check these out? Let's do a little piece. Tell me what you think. By the way, if anybody's wondering, you don't actually have to cut them. They're plenty tender.
That actually tastes like ribs more than pork butt.
You're right. I think you're right. It's probably the amount of smoke, but it's a rich flavor that you don't usually get from commodity pork. I'm very impressed, but I really think they're good. What do you think?
I love it.
Really, really good. And it looks like there's a lot of forgiveness in cooking these because of the fat and the connective tissue that you find in pork butts. And so it's going to be really hard to beat that.
I like pork better than beef.
You guys see what I deal with. When we got married, it was in sickness and in health. I just say this is her sickness. I love you anyway. Okay? All right. So here we have the rib tips that came from Porter Road packaged like this. I think these are a little different than the rib tips that my brother makes in the Detroit area, but they just look like little bitty ribs. And you have the little piece of cartilage. I don't know if it's on both sides, but here you have the little piece of cartilage that you get with full spares. They have like a mini rib right here. So this could just be bite-sized ribs. It's kind of what it seems like. I mean, they look really good. They look juicy. All right, let's try it. Oh. That's really good. Wow. Wow. That is really, really good. All right, I got to try this cartilaginous end piece here. Daniel Vaughn calls the end of a rack of full spares as like the best part of the rib. So I'm just going to tear this chunk off here. I'm just going to remove this chunk of cartilage and try the end. Wow. Erica, this is so good. I never understood rib tips until this moment right here precisely. It's like you miniaturize your favorite part of a rib. Man.
Right here?
Wherever you want. Want to try the end? Just like that bit on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you think?
I like this part better, but it's very soft.
Yeah. So looking at these baby backs, I realized it has been years since I cooked these for myself. I think the last time I cooked these for myself was, I don't know, 4 years ago. I cooked them on the channel. Recently at Smoke Slam in Memphis, we probably cooked 120 racks of baby backs that we cooked and gave out as free samples. But yeah, as far as cooking for myself. So here you see, it looks like it's still juicy. To me, I really like the look of this rack. So let's cut one off. So here we have our rib. Looks good. Looks like it's still juicy. Can't complain about that. We have great smoke ring. I really, by the way, guys, when I cook ribs, I want this color. So if you like them lighter, that's totally fine. But this is the color I like. So let's test it out. Okay, so my honest thoughts are, I was surprised at how much I like these. They're really good, but I prefer that richness that I got with the rib tips and with the country style ribs. So for some people who generally like things to be a little bit leaner, this might be the go-to rib. But for my taste preference, this isn't my favorite, though it's still very, very good. So if you're a baby back rib kind of guy, totally fine. All right, let's have Erica taste. You might like these better. What do you think?
I like St. Louis better.
Okay, me too.
You can tell these are a little bit leaner.
They're leaner, but still juicy. Yeah, I mean, they're not dry at all.
Right.
I don't want
They're
to
great.
make anybody think that they're dry. They're not dry at all, but they're not as rich.
Yeah.
Like, when you chew it, you have like a sense of the richness. It's like the opposite of what Wagyu is. You take a bite of Wagyu, and you're like, oh, it was so rich.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, that wasn't rich. So maybe if you want to eat more, maybe baby backs are the way to go.
Yeah, they're definitely delicious.
Yeah, I think they're really, really good. I just want them to be richer, and I don't know that there's any way to do that with baby backs. So, very impressed with these, but now we're moving on. St. Louis style spare ribs. Remember, St. Louis, rectangular. Comes from lower on the hog. It's got more connective tissue. It's got a little bit more fat. I think they're just usually a little bit richer, but they don't have as much stuff hanging on as the full spare. So let's cut one of these guys off. We can see how we did. That looks pretty good. Where am I going to go for it? Here. Yeah. When I take a bite of ribs, this is the flavor that I'm looking for. Like somebody hands me a rib, try this. This is exactly what I'm hoping it tastes like. Perfect balance of saltiness, meatiness, porkiness, smokiness, richness. So to me, this rib kind of really has it all, except it doesn't have the cartilage on the end that the full spares are going to have. So that cartilaginous portion of the rib tips that I like so much, well, the full spares should have that as part of it. Let's have Erica taste these St. Louis before we move on to the full spare. We got wall-to-wall smoke ring on it. Look how juicy this is. You want to hold it?
Yeah.
It's the best, right?
Yeah, that's the best.
So
Wait,
good.
let me take this bite.
So far, the St. Louis spare has been my favorite, but I already knew I like spare ribs, so I'm biased towards spare ribs. So if you're not a spare rib fan, maybe some of the other options are going to work better for you, but to me, this is it. Dun da da da, the full spare. Don't be a hero. Cut on the backside. You know who told me that? Evan Leroy, and that guy has a Michelin star now. Okay, these look really good. You see it has the cartilage at the end. This connective tissue makes it super juicy. Yeah. All right, I'm going to try this. Where should I go for the best bite? This looks like the best bite. Yeah. It's really good. Okay, I got to try the end. All right, so the full spare, I think, is my favorite. You get all that you get with St. Louis, plus a little bit extra. The greatness of rib tips, plus everything I like about St. Louis. The only thing is it involves more trimming, which, if you don't want to do that, totally understand. I usually cook St. Louis style spare ribs just because they're so easy. Take them out of the package, score the membrane, season them up, get them on. Super easy. But I think to have the best possible experience eating the ribs, I think I like the spares. But some people don't like to deal with the cartilage in the end. They're like, oh, that's gross, that's cartilage. I don't want that in my food. Totally understand. Make the decision that's right for you. That cartilage does not bother me at all. You know, I just eat around it. But yeah, very, very good. Let's try this offcut that we cooked, like rib tips. So if you get the full spare and want to trim them yourself, you can have a little extra thing like this. And let's see if this is any good. Look at that. This is, oh, that is what rib tips are all about. That was the best bite I've had this whole time. Perfect. All right, so let me summarize my thoughts here. First of all, most surprised by the country style ribs. There's no bone, there's a lot of meat in each one of those. It might be the most cost-effective way to have something that kind of looks and tastes similar to ribs. It was really, really good. I was most surprised by that, and I was very much impressed. So if it's something that fits into your budget better than, you know, some of the other options, then maybe that is the winner for you. So, so good. Rib tips. I never understood them until now. Now I'm like, oh, I get it. It's like the best part of a spare rib, but it's just tiny. Yeah, it's really, really good. There is so much connective tissue and there's enough fat that you probably want to balance it with a tangy sauce or something like that. It was very, very good just by itself, but it was so rich it needs something to kind of counterbalance it. Extremely good, extremely easy to cook because it's going to be so forgiving, much like the country style ribs. I was really impressed. Then we have the baby backs or loin back ribs. They're a little leaner. They were still plenty juicy. They had lots of flavor. They just weren't as rich as I wish they were. And that's why the spares, either the St. Louis, if you don't want to trim it all, or the full spare, if you like that cartilaginous, kind of really succulent end portion of the rib. There's nothing really to say. They're just so darn good. I love those things. So good. And lastly, if you're going to get full spares, you can cook the portions that you trim and turn them into rib tips. So that might be the best option. I think if going forward, because I've never actually tried to cook rib tips before. I thought it was just like a Detroit, like a Midwestern thing. Didn't really know. So in the future, I'll probably be buying more full spares when I have the time to trim stuff off, and you know, I'll turn the offcut into rib tips. Both products really, really good. Essentially, I get a St. Louis and rib tips 2-in-1. If rib tips are just your favorite and you're trying to do smaller bites, maybe that's the way to go. To summarize here, I think they were all good, but they're definitely different, and certain products are going to be more attuned to your flavor profile than others. So for me, the St. Louis Bear is really, really good. It's the king in terms of convenience, but the king in terms of overall experience when you're eating is the full spare. Now, guys, feel free to disagree with me if you want. Let me know what your favorite style of ribs is in the comments. If you say beef ribs, you're cheating. We're doing only pork today. And if you guys want to get some of that pork or some excellent quality beef, Make sure you check out that link or use the code MadScientistRibs15 to get 15% off your order from Porter Road. They take care of their farmers. I've visited their farms. This is the kind of place you want to be ordering your meat from. So be sure to check those out. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That helps me out a lot. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, everywhere at Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'll see you guys next time. Or it could just be that with the full spare, you get the tip included. I don't know if I want to say it that way.